We're live. We are live. What's good, peeps? How's everyone doing? Hopefully, you guys are all well. It's freezing out there. Freezing. It feels like it's gonna snow again. Hopefully, it doesn't, because yeah, I'm done with all that snow stuff. As a kid, fine. As an adult, it's just inconvenient. Um, all right, let's do this. Let's see where we are. Obviously, look, Eubank Smith on the weekend. I go up on Thursday. So tomorrow morning, looking forward to it. Looking forward not just to speak to Eubank Smith, looking forward to speak to Joseph Parker, see where his mind is. Some big fights for him coming up. If he gets through it, which he should. Fraser Clark, he should be surely looking at the Fabio Wardley fight. There's a few. There's a few. Echo Usman, Chris Congo, it's a good fight as well. Richard Riakporhe, Glowacki. So yeah, some good stuff to look forward to in the next couple of days. All right, let's just jump straight in. What's this one? Day Kin, with Ngannou becoming a free agent and calling for a possible Joshua fight. Do you think that should happen in Africa, e.g., Nigeria? Both Joshua and Ngannou have a massive following in West Africa. Yeah, Ngannou certainly has a big following. In where's he from? Cameroon. He's always there. He's always going back home. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Look, both of those guys are going to want big money. And look, this is just hypothetical. I don't ever expect that fight to happen. But if it does, look, both guys would want big money. And that kind of fight with their popularity, you talk in the Middle East, they've entered the market now and they seem to be able to pick and choose what they want. So if that fight were to ever happen, and look, who knows, right? We've seen crazier things. If that fight were to ever happen, I'm expecting that to 110% go to Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia or Dubai. Um, all right, let's have a look and see. We're going to try and run through as many questions as possible. Sam Babalola says, "Hi, Eddie. I hope you're doing well and keeping healthy, mentally and physically. What's your pound for pound top 5 YouTube boxing?" Sam, you're about to piss a lot of people off, Sam. There's a lot of people in this chat that do not like that crossover misfits YouTube stuff. I will say this, though. I won't give you my top 5. I will say, look, Jake Paul's clear. He's number one. I think we all can agree on that. He actually can fight. I was speaking to Lawrence Okoli, who sparred him in Dubai, and Lawrence was like, he's got decent hands. Obviously not. Lawrence wasn't going full pelt, but he's got decent hands. I think Salt Pappy deserves a mention because I think he could be the next best. He's clearly technically a better boxer than anyone else. So that's better than KSI and Slim and all those other guys. So yeah, I'll say Jake Paul, number one. I'll say Slim, number two, and then the rest. But yeah, don't piss off the people in the chat with that misfits YouTube stuff. They do not like it. JD underscore 05 says, do you think Ngannou made the right decision to reject the UFC's free fight deal of $8 million? I think he'll live to regret that, because surely he'll lose to Fury, Wilder, and AJ. Jones versus Ngannou ain't happening now. Never say never with regards to Jones versus Ngannou. If Jones gets past Cyril Gane, sorry, on, when is it, in March, he will call out Ngannou. And then, look, we've seen fighters return to the UFC after leaving, so it can happen. With regards to turning down the $8 million fight deal, I don't know. I think there's more to it than just the money with Ngannou. He doesn't seem to be all about the money. He spoke about things like healthcare and fighter insurance and things like that, not just for him, but for the fighters in the roster that maybe don't make that kind of money. So I think for him, it was more than just the money. And look, and I said this today on the video I did about AJ versus Franklin. I said, if you're Ngannou, you're going to want one of the big boys first. You're going to want a Fury, a Wilder, or an AJ, because they will make you more than the $8 million. You're going to get paid well, because I think it's a big fight. I think the UFC heavyweight champion fighting a heavyweight champion or a former heavyweight champion's big money. I think it does big pay-per-view buys. So he'll get paid way more than what the UFC could pay him. And look, if he loses to one of the boxers, no shame in that. He's not a boxer. He'll then just go to the PFL and make shitload of money over there with Jake Paul in that pay-per-view event. JD underscore 05 says, if AJ versus Franklin happens, and when AJ KOs Franklin inside 6 rounds, hopefully, what's next for AJ? and what's next for Franklin. For Franklin, we'll start with him first. His name's out there now. I know that sounds silly, but that's the truth, right? It gets him a lot of eyeballs. I did say, I think the other day, that I wouldn't mind seeing Franklin versus Daniel Dubois, especially if Franklin does better than expected against AJ. Like, I think all of us expect AJ to win, but if Franklin does better, then there's no shame in losing to AJ. I still think he can have some good fights over here. And this is the right time to be over here in the UK because there's so many fights you can have over here. Even if he steps down another level and people like Big Fraser Clark, there's so many options. At Joseph Parker, there's loads out there for him. But I think Daniel Dubois is a good one. For AJ, I can't help but think it has to be Dillian White in the summer. Has to be. If I'm Dillian White, see, if I'm sort of the zone, Matchroom, whatever, trying to put this card together, I know Dillian White obviously cost a lot of money, but I would put them on the same card. I'd put AJ versus Franklin and Dillian White versus Otto Volin. Dillian White was supposed to fight Otto Volin, let's not forget, about a year ago, pulled out injured. Run it back. Run it back. I think it's an easy fight to make. Otto Volin was desperate for the AJ fight, but I think the second prize of Dillian White on a big card will be okay for him. So I think you should do that. Another one, JD05 got his questions in quick, boy. Adi, I'm pretty sure you've gained about 400 subscribers in the last few weeks. Yeah, it's been good, man. Thank you to everyone that has recently subscribed. Obviously, I feel like we've upped the ante with the videos. There was a time when I really slacked, maybe 1 or 2 videos a week. We now are doing videos every single day. I won't be able to do one tomorrow because obviously I'm going to Manchester, but yeah, we are trying to just get busy with the video. So yeah, I think it's showing and reflecting on the subs. So I really appreciate it. Bill Murphy, evening. Do you think Loma is too much on the decline for Haney? He made almost no adjustments with Ortiz, kept leading with the backhand, and Ortiz kept slipping all fight. Rigo fight was an exceptional performance. Yeah, Rigondo was an exceptional performance. That was a long, long time ago. Yeah, I do. I think he's on a decline. I'm one of the biggest, probably the biggest. I am fucking Team Lomachenko. But yeah, the Ortiz fight showed a lot. Don't get me wrong, Ortiz is pretty decent, and I think he'll prove that in future fights. But Haney's going like that, Loma's going like that, and I think Loma's decline now is past Haney where he is. So yeah, I expect Haney to get the job done. It won't be easy. Honestly, it won't be easy. And maybe Loma needed that fight. Maybe it was perfect. Maybe it was a case of, let's see how much we have declined and let's see what we can improve. So maybe the Ortiz fight could be a blessing in disguise when it comes to fighting Haney. But yeah, I think Haney's just a bit too young and too fresh for Lomachenko. It's not just the wear and tear in his body. He's obviously undersized for that weight class, severely undersized, if we're honest. And he used to get away with that with just pure skills. Nowadays, though, these kids have their own skills, plus they're a lot bigger and younger. So yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult. Issa, is it Issa? Am I reading that right? Issa Majid. Hey, Ade, in your opinion, if Canelo fought Beterbiev last year instead of fighting Bivol, how do you think it would have gone? Very badly for him. Very badly. There were times when Bivol had him on the ropes and wouldn't really engage, would slip and then sort of back off a bit. Beterbiev's walking straight through him. Straight through him. He's too big, too strong for Canelo. Like, Canelo's quite smart with this jump to 175. He's picked the right opponents, and this isn't discrediting it. Credit to him. He won a world title at 175, but he fought Kovalev after Kovalev went through life and death in those last couple of rounds against Anthony Yard. And look, Kovalev's trainer admitted that Kovalev doesn't live the life, right? And then he picked a smaller and maybe underestimated Bivol a bit as well, smaller light heavy. Beterbiev is a fully fledged light heavy. Like Beterbiev, there's talk about Bivol getting down to 168. Beterbiev will have to cut his leg off to get down to 168. So I think it would have ended badly. I really do. Quinn 40 says, Ade, my man, I just got back from Tenerife to -2 in England. I'll be here Saturday and can't wait for Yard. That bet I put on is coming in. Just got a feeling. A lot of people have this feeling that Yard just lands one on Beterbiev. I don't know, man. I don't know. But we'll see. Like, it's an exciting fight, and that's got what we want, right? That's what we want. I'm interviewing both of them, Beterbiev and Yard, next week for DAZN. So looking forward to going down to wherever the press conference is and catching up with both of them. But look, man, it's going to be a good fight. I'm really looking forward to it. Base the Kid, the hardcore casual. Go and check out his YouTube channel. Let's help him out. I think he's on. I think the last time I checked Base, you're on about 350 subs. Let's see if we can at least get it to 500 people. Let's push and support. Go over there, check it out. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least go and check him out. Am I doing the watch along with you on Saturday? I'm not sure. The reason I say that, and I did get your message, is because if I do the watch along with a couple of people, then I have to get a cameraman in here to control the cameras. If I do it by myself, it's just me and it's easy. So I'm still deciding whether or not to get a cameraman in and pay a cameraman to come in, but we'll see. Punch Perfect Boxing, salute. Another one with a great YouTube channel doing really good content, really good. SS14 says, we haven't heard from Joe Smith Jr. since he's lost to Beterbiev. Will he fight again? Probably. I do think, when you take the type of punches that he took, look, the thing is about Joe Smith's a puncher. And it's funny because everyone was digging him. Like, why did he try and go into almost a punching war with Beterbiev? He's not a boxer, Joe Smith. Joe Smith's never been known as a boxer. That's what he is. He's a blue collar fighter that can hit. So he was only gonna win one way, and that was gonna be to knock out Beterbiev. I think he takes some time out. I think, how long has it been? It's not been a year yet, is it? I think he takes some time out and then see where he wants. He's made some decent money. He's had a decent career. If he calls it quits, he calls it quits. But I think he causes a lot of problems for everyone that's not named Beterbiev or Bivol. I really do. Super chat has just come in. Let me quickly read that one. This is from Isaac G, $10 super chat. Appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. Beterbiev said it's not true what Tunde said about Yard sparring him. Weird. I'm giving Yard a good chance, but if you watch Hands Are Goods, the underrated skills of Beterbiev, it really shows he's level. A lot. I think this always happens, though, if I'm honest with you. A lot of people, again, appreciate the super chat. A lot of people, by the time the fight rolls round, a lot of people start to give the underdog a chance. Sometimes you've got to go with what you first thought. And when this fight was announced, I said, oh, Beterbiev kills him. And I think that's what 99% of people said. But all of a sudden, people are starting to change them. And even I've now all like, you know what? Yard's got a chance. When deep down inside, I think Beterbiev takes his head off. But he's got a chance. A small one, but he's got a chance. Irfan Rafiq says, even that, bro. Some good fights this weekend. Let's have it. You know what I've realized about this fight card? No one seems to be complaining that it's on pay-per-view, which is interesting. I thought a lot of people might be like, pay-per-view is a disgrace. But not many complaints. Is that because of the main event or just you're excited about the whole card? Because when I initially heard this was pay-per-view, I was like, oh, come on. This isn't pay-per-view. And I still don't think it is pay-per-view. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, you're right. So there are some good fights on this card. I'm looking forward to it as well. Looking forward to seeing what Chris Eubank's like at the press conference. It should be interesting. Even that, a Cy H in the house. Yes, my brother. Welcome. Yes, Addy, my boy, says Lee, the bald guy. Last 4 years, mate, you have grown. Be proud. Thank you very much, my man. What's this one? Right Hook Rodney. That's a good name. All right, Addy, I hope you're good, mate. Why does Hearn act like he's the best promoter in the UK still, when it's clear his UK shows aren't very good anymore, and Frank has control of the heavyweight division? Does Frank have control? Yeah, Frank probably does, doesn't he? What's he got? Dubois, Fury, and Joyce. What's Eddie got in the heavyweight division? AJ, Dillian White, Fabio Wardley. Yeah, Frank probably does have. Yeah, he's got the heavyweight champion of the world. I think what Eddie's probably trying to balance is world domination as well as making sure that he still puts on good UK shows. You know what really hurt Eddie last year, and I think everyone would have said Eddie's the number one like, there wouldn't even be a debate if the Eubank Ben fight happened. Like, that one sort of just caused a massive problem. Like, if it was the year that Matchroom had in the UK, but adding Chris Eubank Ben, I don't think there would be a discussion as to who the number one promoter was. But because that didn't happen, I think that just then enabled Boxer. You know what? I think Boxer had a fantastic year, Boxer and Frank, to kind of almost, is it fair to say catch up? I think it is fair, actually. Of course, I'm saying catch up because Eddie was far in front. But yeah, I think that really hurt Matchroom DAZN. But I also think, like I said, that he is trying to balance the events he does worldwide. Obviously, look, February the 4th, they've got 2 undisputed fights with Serrano, obviously, on their card as well. Bam Gardner, they've got fights in Dubai, Middle East, Australia. I've done about 4 or 5 fights for them in Spain last year. But you're right. I do think you've got to make sure that where you are in your home is number one first. And I'm expecting a good year from Matchroom. I hope, because I'm at these shows. Jake Jansen says, love how 2023 has started and already some fights looking unlikely. Garcia versus Tank, Usyk versus Fury already pushed back. And with Spence fighting Keith in April, Crawford ain't happening this year. Yeah, I've not even, I'm done with the Crawford Spence thing. It's not even one of those things where I think I'm done. It ain't happening. Spence going to 154. Once you go up, it's very difficult to want to come back down. So I've ruled that one out. I think Garcia Tank's done. I think that's okay. I think we can give that the thumbs up. Oscar showed the contract today that Ryan's now signed. So I think that's one for April. Usyk Fury, yeah, there's a problem there just because obviously the fight was initially supposed to go to the Middle East, and I'm hearing it was a 50-50 split. The Middle East don't look like they want it. If it comes over here to the UK, then obviously that's Fury's backyard. He's going to want more of a bigger slice of the pie. So they're going to have to like renegotiate contracts now, hence why it's been pushed back. Happier 8,000 says, hi, Addy. Wasn't it really dangerous for Eubank to drop to 157 when Ben is in his condition? With Ben in his condition. Okay, yeah, it was. But sometimes you do a lot for money. And there was a lot of money. So I can understand why he did it. I don't necessarily mind him going down. It was the rehydration clause of him coming back up, which I think was really, really dangerous. But hey, it's all done now. Although I'm going to ask him tomorrow. He still wants that fight. Ben still wants that fight. DAZN still want that fight. I'd be shocked if Eubank Ben doesn't happen in 2023. Ethan says, do you think White versus Wallin would be a good fight? I need to see a better White. Look, I need to see a much better White. And I know some people get at me for being too hard on Dillian White, but I just need to see a better version of it. Like the Dillian White against Franklin just simply wasn't good enough. So, yeah, it probably will be competitive, but I need to know what's left with Dillian White because I'm not quite sure there's much left. 2 seconds. Where are we? A couple of super chats are coming. Let me quickly read those. JD_05 says Arthur quit against Yard in their second fight. He got knocked down and didn't want it anymore. I assume you saw that as well. I was actually at the fight. So there's one thing quitting, and there's one thing someone smashing you to the body. Like I was literally ringside for that one. I was working for Talk Sport, and Yard was vicious that night. And maybe it was a case of Lyndon Arthur maybe could have done a bit more, but ultimately the writing was on the wall. He was going to get knocked out. So sometimes you save yourself for another day. And to be fair to Lyndon Arthur, he looked good, didn't he, a couple of months ago? So it's kind of worked out for him. He'll get back in the picture, whether or not it's world level or European level. Lyndon Arthur's a good fighter, very good fighter. Chris Dudulu says, hi, Addy. Are the rumors true about AJ versus Franklin? It seems so. When I initially heard this 3-4 weeks ago, I can't remember who tweeted it. I was like, no, that's not true. But Dimitri Salita, Jermaine Franklin's manager, I think, has tweeted something along the lines of, we're just now waiting for the contract, that we have spoken to Team AJ. So there's clearly conversations, and I expect it to be Jermaine Franklin. I do. Random question, but did you read any Roald Dahl books when you were a kid? Surely you know who that is. Yes, I'm not that old. I certainly know who that is. But BFG, well, you're making me go back years. I remember reading The Big Friendly Giant, if that is one. A couple more super chats, then we're going to get back to the questions. TJFTV says, ignore the influencer boxing haters. A lot of us really enjoy hearing your perspective on it from time to time. Keep up the great work. Appreciate that, because I actually enjoy talking about it. like, I actually find it. Look, again, I cover all the boxing events, don't I? So I see what goes on behind the scenes in the boxing, and I find it quite refreshing being at some of these events. It's very laid back. For me as a broadcaster, it's fun, very laid back. They try the hardest. I know what I'm watching. I get that I'm not watching elite level boxing. I understand that. So I can separate the two. I feel like a lot of fight fans can't seem to separate the two. Like, I get what I'm watching. If I go there expecting Lomachenko, then obviously, it's not going to happen. If I go there knowing that these guys have trained for 5 or 6 weeks and they're not really professional boxers, then I have no problem with it. No problem with it at all. Um, um, Chris Andre, boxing, the big man. The big man. Big up, Ade. Turby have justifiably the favourite, but Yard has a type of tools that can potentially capitalize on Arthur's foot shift on his entry point. Jeez, there's enough about the fight to excite me. There's a lot about this fight to excite everyone. Go and check out Chris Andre's YouTube channel, guys. Again, look, you know what I like about this community that we've got? Like, you see Chris Andre was in here, Punch Perfect was in here, Base the Kid, all YouTubers. And I feel like we need to support each other. I feel like we don't support each other enough. But yeah, Chris Andre, one of the most knowledgeable guys out there when it comes to boxing. Look, I'm super excited for this fight. I always talk about that kind of feeling in your stomach when you know you're about to watch something that anything could happen. Don't blink. And Yard Beterbiev is that. I just hope when you talk about that foot shift on the entry point, I just hope that, and this isn't disrespecting Yard, but I just hope that he's got enough up there to understand that and to read that. Um, Boxers that have maybe had a massive amateur background would read that foot shift and know how to adjust to it. I don't know if Yard does. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know if he does. All right, let's get back to where we were. Let me see which one. I read that one. Have I read that one? I think I read that one. Yeah, read that one. Read that. Read that one. Okay, here we go. Haven't read that one. Happier 8000 says Ade Wilder versus Ruiz predictions. A Wilder to sleep him in a very exciting back and forth fight. Like, I expect Ruiz to maybe even wobble Wilder's legs. Wouldn't be shocked if Wilder goes down. But ultimately, when Wilder pulls the trigger, and he will pull that trigger, I think we all know what will happen. But it's a really good fight. Really, really good fight. Can't wait for it. Big, big fight in America, that one. That one should do good numbers. I can remember people saying that Wilder Helenius didn't really do good numbers, but I expect Wilder Ruiz, if given the correct build-up. If. So let's hope. Let's hope it happens. Levon says, the only thing I hate about Misfits is the lack of seriousness with the events, and it feels like boxing is not a serious sport. Boxing ain't a serious sport. I mean, they're certainly serious. Like, they're having fun. These guys are entertainers. And I almost feel like some boxers need to be like that, need to bring a bit of entertainment to the sport. Look, but boxing needs to, boxing's in a weird place. It's in a, I've like, boxing's in a really weird place, if I'm honest with you. Like, there's only a few fighters that can fill out arenas, only a few. Only a few fighters that can sell really good pay-per-view numbers. Again, only a few. Boxing needs new eyeballs on it. It 100% needs new eyeballs on it. And whether these guys do it, I don't know. But I feel like boxers could learn a lot from some of these guys. These guys know how to captivate an audience, and some boxers, unfortunately, don't. But yeah, I don't know. I understand why some people do not like it. But I feel like if you went to one of the events, I think you would be pleasantly surprised. I was, mate, it's weird. Like, there on Saturday, where like Johnny Fisher was there, I think Chantel Cameron was there, Derek Chisora. You watch their faces in the crowd; they were going crazy. It is entertaining. It is entertaining. Fat Frank's Blue Army. What's good at 8? Some people say Franklin is an easy fight for AJ, but I think his style will be a problem for AJ. Couldn't up? No. Sorry, no. Nope. Not hearing it. Not hearing it. No. What style? No, not for me. Not for me. I think AJ will break him in half. No, not for me. Slow feet, decent hand speed, a very small heavyweight. Power. Relative power. I mean, well, if you're over 240, 250, you're gonna have some power. But I mean, the AJ, look, the AJ that fought Usyk second time round will destroy Jermaine Franklin. If that AJ's still there, and I can't see why that AJ wouldn't be there, and hopefully he's got that. What do they call it in football? New manager bounce when you got a new trainer and you want to impress him. I think this AJ will destroy. So no, I can't see an upset on the cards at all. I hope you are wrong, sir. Boxing Classics HQ has Wood Lara sold out. Seems like Lara could sell out arenas now. He's getting notorious here. I haven't checked. Hopefully it has. What is it? The Nottingham Arena, I think it's about 8,000. Is it 9,000? Hopefully it has. But remember, we are still a bit away from it. When is that? February the 18th. So we're a month away. So we'll see what happens. It's good that there aren't any. I don't think there are any clashes either. So all eyes should be on that fight card. Really, really looking forward to it. 2 seconds. 2 secs, peeps. Placed says, "Hi Addy, what's your opinion on people calling you a company man? As this DAZN YouTube stuff is sparking opinion now." I mean, it doesn't even bother me. It did at the start. It did in the beginning. I was like, well, yeah, but it doesn't even bother me. DAZN employ me to present their YouTube stuff. You know, I don't know. What do you do? Do you turn it down? Someone else get the opportunity? You know, they give me events all over the world. We're going to Nashville, Tennessee, in a couple of months. Obviously, we was in America. It's good. It's good to travel. Sometimes it feels like it's a free holiday. It's good to travel. So no. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. Obviously, those that have watched this channel for years would know that's not really true. But I get it. I understand it. I think this is why it doesn't necessarily bother me, because I understand why people would say that. You know, because this transition for me, going from the green chair to working for a specific promoter and a specific broadcaster, has been quite difficult. Has been, obviously, like, can I critique? Sorry, can I critique a Matchroom event the way I used to? No, of course I can't. So I get why that's come, and I guess it's for me to try and balance it. But it is what it is. Stuart Smith says, "What if AJ struggles against Franklin? What next for him?" Boy, and then I guess if he struggles and it's not great, then you stay at that level. You stay at that level. So whereas the summer was supposed to be a big name, you stay at that level, and maybe you fight someone like a Jermaine Franklin in and around that top 20. Yeah, you find out what the problem is. But I don't expect him. I really, honestly, having seen him up close, this Jermaine Franklin, I don't expect AJ to struggle with him. Ninja's Rose says, "When are you getting Rob Tebbit in for a chat? Be great to hear his story." To be honest, yeah. Look, Rob's obviously very busy with ID boxing, doing great stuff as well. We'll see. We'll see if that can happen. Hopefully, it can. Rob's a great guy. I'll see Rob tomorrow. Jermaine Franklin's promoter been saying all week that there are no negotiations and no contract to fight AJ. Someone is lying. No. He certainly hasn't. Dimitri Salita, he's manager, so maybe there's a bit of a difference. Hopefully, you're talking about Salita, but Dimitri Salita, his manager, has come out and said that they are waiting for a contract and there have been conversations. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Boxing pound for pound Jack says, "Fulton France is screwing his own career over. He at present has no manager, and his previous promoter UFC has matching rights." It's not all about money for these people. Where Francis comes from in his journey, like, if you understand Francis Ngannou's journey of sleeping on the streets of Paris and having to dig sand, I don't know what they're called, sand dunes or whatever it was in Cameroon. It's not about money for him. Like, he's been homeless. He's okay. He's a millionaire. He just wanted to be free. That's what he said. He always says it was about his own freedom and not being tied down to 5 and 6 fight contracts. So I think France is fine. I think we should maybe stop worrying about him. I think he's okay for now. And look, he will get some good offers. There's no two ways about it. When it's all said and done, in a couple of years, Francis would have made a lot more money out of the UFC than in the UFC. I firmly believe that. JB says, I do think Loma is a bit too past it for Haney, but you have to take into account styles. Ortiz is just bad news for Loma. Yeah, you know what? There's two things to actually look at this. Are we overhyping Haney for beating Kambosos? I said Loma would have destroyed Kambosos as well. I think a lot of people would have beat Kambosos. Or are we thinking Loma's done because of Ortiz? You are probably correct here. I still think there's stuff to improve on with Haney when I watch him. But Loma did look bad. Loma looked bad. Trust me, as someone that's watched all of Loma's fights, that was one of his worst performances. It really was. Thank God he got the W, because there was some thinking that he might not. So yeah. George Smith says, hi Ade, love the show. What's going on with Billy Joe? Yeah, a strange one with Billy Joe. It looked like he was on his way back. I think he spoke to both Boxer and Matchroom about potential fights and seeing what offers were there and what offers were on the table, and then nothing's come of it. He hasn't fought for a long time. It'll be 2 years. When? It'll be 2 years and 3 or 4 months, won't it? That's when he fought Canelo. He must be massive. I don't know. I don't know him personally. Hopefully he does live the life, but I don't know. I'm not sure. If he fights at 168, I'm guessing he's 210 right now, maybe a bit more. So yeah, I'm not quite sure we're ever going to see him come back. All right, a couple of super chats have come in. Let's see if we can quickly read those. 2 secs, peeps. What's this one? Did you get into many fights as a kid? Brutal ones? A few, but not many. I've got 2 older brothers, so around sort of my area, I wouldn't get into fights because people wouldn't fight me because of my older brothers. True story. Yeah, crazy. I did have a fight though with a guy called Anthony Barrett, who boxed for England as an amateur, and that fight was a bit too tough. I was like, yo, okay, stop. Like, we were in year 6, so how old were we? We would have been 16, and we were both considered quite tough. But he was, at that time, I think he must have been boxing for about 4 years, because we were actually good friends. I used to go to his house and see all his trophies. So I remember, like, after this is when, you know, like, real fights don't last more than 2 minutes, unless you're fighting a boxer who has fitness. Real fights a couple of minutes. I remember, like, fighting him, and we were like swinging for the fences. I was fucked after 5 minutes. He was fresh. I was thinking, someone better break this up. I was actually thinking, please God, let a teacher come now so we can call it a draw. A teacher came, but he won. Everyone said he won as well. Bastard. Super chat again from Chris Andre says, if 2 EPL players fought, many would love to see it. The reason some of us don't get excited about the YouTubers is just because we don't know them, so don't get hyped. But that's not a reason to hate. I think that's what it is. Like, I'm happy you said that, because before I started, I didn't know who any of these were. Like, when DAZN asked me to do it, obviously I knew KSI and I knew Jake Paul. I knew nobody else, like no one. So I was a bit like that as well. I was a bit like, yeah, I don't know about this. Once you start to get to know them and you go to the gym and you watch them and you think, okay, these guys are giving it a go. Like, for them, you know, they know their limits, but they're really trying. They do 5 or 6 week camps. Malik Scott was there for one of the fighters. Saddam Ali, former 154-pound world champion, was there as well. So they're getting proper trainers behind them. There's a lot to like about it, trust me. And it's here for the long run anyway. So you guys are gonna get even more pissed off, because it's here for the next. I think DAZN have signed a 5-year deal. Which is good for me, not good for you guys. All right, let's get back to the questions. Jake Jansen says, the UFC had a chance to smash shows in Africa last year, as they had 3 UFC world champions. Insane. Now those 3 champions lost and stripped. There's obviously clearly a barrier as to why events aren't happening in Africa, because you're right. I mean, it would have been so easy to do a show there with Israel Adesanya. You did, like, so easy. And you literally line them up for questions. And it's not just those 3. Obviously, those 3 were the champions, but there's others. There's so many Africans in the UFC, but they haven't. So I'm guessing there's bigger problems there in terms of, do they need a partner? Who's the TV? I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. A TV partner, maybe. Obviously, in the UK, it's BT Sports. Maybe, I don't know. Could they not do something with Super Sport? I'm not quite sure, but it is a shame. It is a shame. Um, Izzy ain't getting that belt back anytime soon, if as long as Pereira hangs on to it, because he's got a hoodoo over him. I think Leon Edwards will beat Kamaru Usman again, and Francis is gone. Crazy, crazy. Leo Mac 1 says they should have brought Smith and Eubank on the pitch at half time in the Brighton versus Liverpool game to build the fight. I don't, although Chris is, it would have been fake. And the reason I say that, look, Chris is from Brighton, but I've never ever heard Chris talk about football. I like zero interest. Obviously, Smith is big, big Liverpool. So it made sense. If Chris at least even, I don't know, went to a Brighton match in the past, then you could sell it a bit. But I don't know if the crowd would even care, because there's no allegiance to Brighton apart from being brought up there. I hate one thing I hate is when boxers try to sort of align themselves to a club. I think fans see through it. Like, like Josh Warrington, there's a reason why the Leeds get behind him, because he is Leeds. Leewood, Forest, you just know. Others, I'm just not quite sure about it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Chris Webb says, hi, Addy, you're doing great work. I respect it. Do your thing. Who would your top three be in terms... Wait, let me read this correctly. Who would your top three be in terms of at their peak and over the course of their career? At their peak. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with fighters. You know, then people will talk about Ali and Jack Johnson and Sugar Ray Robinson. Not my era, obviously. I'm going to go with people that I've seen. At their peak, Floyd, Roy Jones... At their peak. Floyd, Roy Jones. And there's something about, I'm in an iron about Pacquiao, Bernard Hopkins. Pacquiao at his peak, I just thought was a whirlwind. And I just, honestly, there was a time, I'm not joking, there was a time when Pacquiao beat Margarita 154, was it 151? I thought he could beat anyone at middleweight. I was like, this guy is unstoppable. Too fast, too big, too strong, too big, too powerful. I was like, it's crazy. Roy Jones, peak for peak. Honestly, Roy Jones could be the greatest fight we've ever seen. Like, if we're just literally, if we're talking like just one off, he was just incredible. Like, he done things in a ring that didn't make sense. And Floyd, when I'm bored, I always put on Floyd videos, just old school Floyd videos. Sometimes not even Floyd fighting, sometimes just Floyd talking on 24/7. Floyd was a genius. Floyd was a genius. And I've become more of a Floyd fan because I now am lucky to go to boxing events, and I'm ringside and I'm watching these fighters and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, Floyd was a genius. Like, these are world-class fighters that look like they're struggling, they're getting smashed up, they can't breathe. And then you watch Floyd and you think, this guy just made it look so easy. How? So yeah, those would be my three. So Floyd, Roy Jones, and Pac-Man. A special mention to Bernard Hopkins, who I think was just an alien, right? The executioner. What a special talent he was. What a special talent. That's a great question, by the way, Chris. I might do a video on that. Great question. A couple of super chats have come in. I was going to quickly run to them. 2 secs, peeps. We'll get to the questions again. Geez, JD_05 is spending all his money. Damn, you actually think Edwards has Usman's number and will KO him again? I think Usman will dominate at least 4 out of the 5 rounds. I think once a guy puts you to sleep like that, I don't know, man. I think it's difficult. I think they just have something over you. But then again, it's 1-1 between them, isn't it? But he put him to sleep. And the confidence that gives Leon Edwards now, man, it's going to be a difficult one for Usman. And let's not forget, I don't know if it matters too much, but remember, the fight's over here in London. So, the crowd's going to be all for Edwards on this one. I expect Edwards to hold on to that strap. And I'm split on it. Obviously, I like Kamaru Usman because of the Nigerian thing, but I mean, I'm an Edwards fan, man. UK boy. I like him. Finbar White says, evening, I hope you're well. What do you think of Chisora calling that Ngannou? Would it be a good matchup? Keep smiling. Thank you, my man. I think it would. I don't mind it. I did a video on it the other day. I do not mind it at all. if I'm Francis Ngannou, I want someone that's going to trash talk and sell the fight, because Francis doesn't really do that. We know Chisora will do that. The only problem is, as I said, I expect Chisora to be able to beat Ngannou. I know some people said no, but Ngannou's not a great boxer. Very powerful, but not a great boxer. And then if Chisora beats him, that's it, isn't it? Then that's it. He's fucked up, because he wants obviously the Fury and the AJ fights. So I wonder if he will avoid Chisora just because it doesn't bring the biggest money. It brings some money, but not the biggest money. All right, let's get back to the questions. Where were we? Loads are coming in. What's this one? Ninja's Rose says Liam Smith and Jamie Carragher just done head tennis with a footy in the ring at the media workout. Then Liam booted the ball at the presenter and nearly winded him. Liam's great. I can't wait to interview him tomorrow. Hopefully Carragher's there as well. But as a Liverpool fan as well, I do have a soft spot for Liam Smith. I did his last fight in America. Remember, he fought on the undercard of Taylor Serrano. It's almost one of the ones that have been forgotten, but it was a good fight, him versus Vargas. So look, I'm a big fan of Liam Smith, and I give him a very, very good chance against Chris Eubank Jr. Very good chance. I wonder about the weight though. Obviously, he's a career light middle. So I wonder about those extra 6 pounds, if they'll slow him down a bit. And as much as a lot of you will probably think it's only 6 pounds, 6 pounds are a lot. If you're not used to carrying that weight, it's a lot. Mark Chapman says, hey, I think he meant to say Ade there. Really appreciating your regular lives. I'm going on Saturday. Really can't wait. I'm wanting Eubank to win, but just have this feeling Smith is going to school him. Yeah, I think Eubank will start really fast. Always starts really fast. Could put him down. Eubank could put him down. Eubank doesn't go for the kill enough. He doesn't go for the kill. Hurt Marcus Morrison, didn't go for the kill. Hurt Liam Williams, don't go for the kill. If he hurts Liam Smith, he's got to go for the kill. He has to. If he doesn't, Liam Smith starts slow, but then just starts to go through the gears and it doesn't go through the gears smoothly. He grinds the gears. It takes a while, but he gets there. And if he gets there, mate, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are going to be very, very interesting. What's this one? Star Fox McLeod 213. Top of the morning, Ade. I don't see any way you can pull this off. Beterbiev is 10 times harder than Kovalev. Yeah, 10 times harder. No, 1 second. Pause. Wait a minute. What have I just read? Beterbiev is 10 times harder. No, he's not. I'm sorry, he's not. I don't like Star Fox McLeod 213. I don't know how old you are, but don't sleep on like Pete Kovalev. Understand this. Pete Kovalev beat Andre Ward. Don't tell me he didn't. He beat Andre Ward the first time round. Pete Kovalev done that. Pete Kovalev, killer. Remember Nathan Cleverly when they picked Kovalev, I think was mandatory. What belt did Cleverly have? Could it have been WBC? I don't know what, WBA? Anyway, Kovalev fought Cleverly. And I remember Cleverly saying after, it felt like he was getting hit with a sledgehammer. But that Kovalev, for about 4 or 5 years, the fucking boogeyman. The boogeyman. I'm sorry. There's no way on this earth Beterbiev is 10 times harder than Sergei Kovalev. But that guy, trust me, I remember it like it was yesterday. No one wanted smoke with that guy. Nobody. It's a shame we didn't get to see Kovalev versus Adonis Stevenson. That was the one everyone wanted to see. But that Kovalev, nasty. Beat Andre Ward. Go and watch the fight. Score it round for round. All right. Here we are. Israel Gustav says, Ade, what do you think about Frank Sanchez? I believe he's a big problem for everyone. I believe boxers know it as well. High risk, low reward. Fight for the big boxers. Yeah, you just summed it up. High risk, low reward. I think you know what caused him the problem? The FA Jagba fight. That's now a big problem for him. I think people saw the way he dealt with a puncher and a Jagba. And look, a Jagba's probably not right after that. So yeah, look, very, very risky. He was obviously with Team Canelo. Everyone's left that camp. Strange. But yeah, Frank Sanchez is a big problem. And I think they're going to struggle to get him fights. He's going to have to work his way up to a mandatory. And even then, you know how the boxing corrupt organizations will kind of just move him different ways. I don't expect him to get any big fight anytime soon. I can't see it happening. Matthew Shepard says, Ade, people aren't complaining about pay-per-view. This is in reference to Eubank Smith because they don't realize it's pay-per-view until Saturday night. How's the new studio? New studio, we move into, guys, in the 28th. Although I get the keys on the 28th. It's probably going to take me a while to get everything up and going. So probably maybe first week in Feb. With regards to that, people don't realize it's pay-per-view. When I spoke to Ben Shalom about pay-per-view, because Sky have actually got a few pay-per-views planned. Jack Cattrall versus Josh Taylor is going to be pay-per-view as well. He just simply said that's how we can afford to pay these guys. The market now is like people with there being so many broadcasters, even over here, like, man, you have to pay big dollar to keep your talent. Big dollar. And that's why a lot of these fighters as well are not signing 4 or 5 fight deals anymore. They're signing 1 fight deals. Like, literally, I'm guessing Eubank won't be tied into anything. Maybe a rematch clause, but he won't be. Eubank will go anywhere. Eubank will fight on DAZN next week, BT Sports 1 week, PBC. He's fought for all of them. So that's what fighters are doing now, and they're winning. They're winning. So I guess you got to do pay-per-view. What's this one? Ziggy says, yes, Ade, today is the 3-year anniversary of McGregor's last win in the UFC. Do you see him coming back? And how do you think his return will turn out? His return won't be good. Let's be brutally honest. It won't be good. MMA moves on so quick. It moves on so quick. And McGregor at the time, remember when McGregor first came as a 145-pounder? His movement was so different, and that left hand was so sharp, and his feet everything was fantastic. Now look at him. Like, I follow him on Instagram. I mean, look, I love the fact he's living his life, but he's constantly got a drink next to him. Looks high all the time, far too big. He's done. He's done. I actually don't want to see him back in the UFC, if I'm honest with you. Darrell Carter says Jarrell Miller versus Fabio Wardley. Not sure what Jarrell's like off the juice. I haven't watched these last couple of fights. I feel like, didn't he go points with someone recently? I can't remember, but I do wonder what they're going to do with Wardley. I do wonder. I know Fraser Clark wants that fight desperately for the British title. I don't mind seeing that, I actually hate the idea of Jarrell Miller making money from the sport, considering how many drugs he had up his ass, but it is what it is. 2 secs. Leader Ball Guy says Eddie has become the new Frank Warren and Ben Shalom has become the new Eddie Hearn. It's the circle of life. It's happening. It's happening right in front of us. I think Eddie mentioned this in his interview with Kugan Cassius, that this business, like, it makes you bitter and twisted. It just does. There's so much fucking backstabbing behind the scenes that ultimately you do become what you were fighting before. And maybe that is happening. Maybe Ben Shalom in a couple of years will become the new Frank Warren as well. But it's a tough sport, man. It really is. Have I read this one out? Oh, yeah, I read that one out. Leon says, your thoughts on who will be the best light heavyweight champ of this era? Kovalev, Beterbiev, Bivol. I guess you got to chuck. I know we didn't have many light heavyweight fights, but you got to chuck in Andre Ward in there just because, as the record books will say, he beat Kovalev, stopped him. Not the record books, it's fact, isn't it? For me, Kovalev's still number one for me. But I guess the winner of Beterbiev Bivol will have to be the best of this era. If it's Beterbiev as well, I mean, he's run for a lot of people, a lot of fucking people, killers. He's made killers basically back off and quit. Like, it's frightening. He's made, like, punchers have gone in there with him. Punchers, real big punchers. Callum Johnson's a puncher. Joe Smith, puncher. Marcus Brown can hit as well. Vosdick. And he's basically just all made them all like say, stop, done, we're done. He's a monster. A monster. But for me, as it stands right now, it's still got to be Kovalev for me. I'm a massive fan of his. Where are we? Baz H says it would be a very big shock if Yard wins. Massive. It might be the biggest victory ever by a Brit. I'm not even joking. If he were to beat Beterbiev, Like, and I hope people don't, because I know what people are like when stuff like this happens. That if Yard were to win, people will be like, "Oh yeah, but Turby was 38 though, and he's taken a lot of punishment in his life." Don't do that. You got to have the energy that you had when the fight was made, and when the fight was made, it was like Yard has no chance. And so I think it would be an incredible, incredible win. Yard is so lucky the fight's over here, because that automatically gives him a better chance, doesn't it? It does. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Um, Usyk, the real champ, aka Ben Adams. Hi, Ade, bro. What happened to your Michael Jackson picture? It's over there. It's out of shot. There were a few people complaining about it, and look, I didn't want any more trouble. People like, you got a convicted. What people say? You know what people say? You got a pedophile on your. And I was like, all right, let's just get the fucking thing down. I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to fight with you. Did I read this one out? I'm not quite sure. JD underscore 05 says, how good do you think Lyndon Arthur is? Very good. Very. You know what it is? Like, what are we comparing him to? Are we talking just as a boxer? Not everyone can be elite world level. I think as a British level, European level light heavyweight, he's very good. He's just in an era of very, very, very good light heavyweights, like very good. Like, even when you think about it, so you got, obviously everyone will talk Bivol Beterbiev, right? Then again, I keep mentioning Marcus Brown because I think he's a very good fighter. Then you've got over here, you got Boatsy, then Yard, and he's below that. So it's just so much, it's stacked. So he might be forgotten, but he's a very good fighter. Mm. Warrior underscore Sing one said everyone had a go when White fought Franklin. Now he's meant to be a decent fighter because Joshua is going to fight him. No, no, no. He's meant to be a decent fighter because a lot of people thought he beat White. That's why we didn't know who he was. I think the thing when White chose him or when Eddie chose him, whatever it was, we didn't really know too much about Jermaine Franklin. No one knew who he was. So I was like, okay, let's see how Dillian White deals with him. The fact he caused Dillian White so many problems, and in the end, it was very, very, some say controversial, is the reason why everyone thinks he's now a decent fighter. It's not because AJ's fighting him, it's because we've now seen him. We didn't know who he was before, so we were judging it on nothing. We've now seen him. What's this one? Ade, the viewers want to watch you shadow box or spar. Don't let us down. Who wants that? Why would you want to watch me do that? Why would you want to watch this old man? I need an MOT on this body. I'm 42 soon. I can't do that anymore. I guess I can do a bit of shadow boxing. Matthew Shepherd said, Ade, man, I watched The Journey the other night. Big up, man. Keep grinding for that house in Islington. I love that. Love the daily vids. Guys, if you don't know what he's talking about, on my YouTube channel, I've been very open and honest about my journey from a kid to where I am now. I made a video about it. I documented it. It's up on my YouTube channel. If you have a spare 45 minutes, go and watch it. I think you'll probably know a bit more about me when you watch it. And you'll probably stop calling me company man as well. 2 seconds. Where are we? People saying here that Conor Benn situation is similar to Jarrell Miller. Are you taking the piss? I'm not even here out defending Conor Benn. Although I did see someone today, I can't say who his name is, but I saw someone today, and that person, I can't lie to you, that person convinced me that there's something else going on. They did, but don't compare the two. Jarrell Miller literally had a pharmacy in his body. You need to go and read the transcript of what Jarrell Miller had in this motherfucker was an EPO, like blood transfusions. Don't you dare. I'm not trying to say one drug is better than the other, but I am saying that. You can't compare the two. Don't. You need to understand a bit more about it before you do that. Flynn, when are you going to jump off the sinking ship, which is the zone? Sinking? I think the zone is just about starting. I think it's I'm excited for what is going to happen. It's so strange that people think that. Why do you think that? Because I maybe because I'm at the events, right? So I'm a bit lucky, but I go to these events like Bivol Canelo, Canelo GGG, Bivol Ramirez, Leeward Conlon, the PFL stuff, and I'm like the soccer stuff. I should be doing the Champions League final this year. And I'm thinking, sinking? They send me on first class and business class. If that's sinking, then yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Where are we? 2 secs. SS14 says if Yard was fighting Bivol, nobody would give him a chance, but most of us would rate Beterbiev higher than Bivol. Styles really do make fights. Yeah, I'm happy you just said that. Styles really do make fights. Um, Bivol's a boxer, so you can just see him comfortably at boxing Yard. Whereas Beterbiev, although funny, I say that Beterbiev's a great boxer as well. I mean, you don't have the amateur record he's got without being a good boxer, but he's now turned into someone that just wants to stand and just break you down. I said this the other day on a video. He wants to outman you. That's what he's trying to do. Like, you think you're tough? Let's go. Remember in the press conference where he banged the table like that in front of Yard, almost to kind of intimidate and show, like, look, I ain't here to fuck about. So it is all about styles. And that's why Yard has a chance, because Yard is physically very imposing and intimidating and strong. So if it does get to a stage where it's a shootout, and Yard has fast hands as well, like, Yard isn't just a banger. Yard's got really good hands, slips to the side, digs those body shots in. He's got a chance. Don't know how big a chance, but he's got a chance. What have we got here? The issue I have with YouTube, this is from Placed, with YouTube and influencer boxing, is their fan base get onto real boxing fans for fairly dismissing it. Let me read that again. The issue I have with YouTube and influencer boxing is that their fan base get onto real boxing fans for fairly dismissing it. Okay. Look, it's just two separate things. Honestly, it's two separate things. And I think the quicker we realize that, the better. It's completely separate. I think there is some crossover and some spillover. Like, you got Idris Virgo, who is a real fighter, right? Unbeaten, fighting on it. There is some crossover. Tommy Fury, real fighter. But ultimately, it's just two separate things. You've got guys and girls that have massive fan bases on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and they're having a fight with someone else that's got a massive fan base. That's it. That's it. And I think, you know what the biggest problem is, I think, because this really is like white collar boxing. I think the biggest problem for hardcore boxing fans is that it's now, in some instances, bigger than real boxing in terms of arenas and pay-per-view numbers. But it really is just white collar boxing, and no one complains about white collar boxing. Right. What's this one? Mr. No Face says, "Hey, Ade, big fan of your work. Appreciate that, my man. A bit far off, but who do you have winning? Catchall, Taylor. I really do. I think Taylor's going to get the job done. I'm not one of those people that with one controversial loss or controversial win, I start to then write off someone. Taylor, for me, before that victory, was a pound for pounder. I had him at like top 7 or 8. Cleaned up at 140, and I can't sort of jump off the train so quick. So I think he underestimated Catchall, and I think he's going to get the job done in impressive fashion when they fight eventually in March. Ethan says, who's your most exciting UK heavyweight prospect? I don't know if Fabio's still a prospect, Fabio Wardley, because he's British champion. I don't know if that counts as a prospect, but I'd have to say Fabio Wardley. Being ringside and watching that fight with Nathan Gorman, and I think I said this at the time, but Nathan Gorman had some family members ringside, and Nathan Gorman started really well, and they started screaming white collar boxer to Fabio Wardley, and he got hit and his nose bust, and the red mist descended, and he just fucking went into overdrive. And what he lacks in skill, he makes up for in just pure aggression, pure, I'm going to fuck you up. And I don't mind that. It might not go all the way to world level, but it's exciting to see. So I'd say Fabio for now. I'll name this account later. Says, do you think Wood versus Lara would be pay-per-view on Sky? Good question. Not sure. Would Sky chuck that? Is that bigger than Eubank Smith? Is that bigger than Taylor Catchall? I'm not sure. It's a very good question. Well, at least we know DAZN aren't chucking it on pay-per-view, which I think is the winner here, right? What else have we got? Jimmy says, does nobody else think Fury's legs are a bit shot now? Yeah, they are. He's slowing down. Trust me. He's slowing down. Go and watch old Fury. Like I put a photo up the other day of Fury when he fought Klitschko. He's in the dressing. Sorry, he's in his hotel. He is lean. He's like Fury's about 20, 30 pounds heavier than he was when he fought Vladimir Klitschko. The legs will slow down. There's no two ways about it. And let's not as well forget, he took a lot of punishment in those Wilder fights. Don't get me wrong, he won all of them as far as I'm concerned, but he took some right hands, man. That will slow you down. It has to slow you down. And the thing about Usyk is that motherfucker does not stop moving. Doesn't stop moving. So it's such an interesting fight. It's an intriguing one. Can't wait for it. Should be fun. Big super chat has just come in. Let's quickly read it now. 2 secs, peeps. Ben Odom, big one, says, I really appreciate it, Ben. Thank you very much. Good evening, Ade. KSI versus Jake Paul does more pay-per-views than Usyk Fury. Yeah. No, it's not even, and look, hopefully you guys reading this are not like, whatever, Ben. Ben is 1,000,000% correct. You know what? I was having a debate with someone about this, actually. Like, it would probably, like I've always said that AJ Wilder is the one. Like that, I think, does massive pay-per-view numbers. Maybe Canelo Bivol as well does something big. Ryan Garcia, Tank. But I think Jake Paul, KSI, with their following, is the biggest fight that could be made today. How crazy. How crazy is the biggest fight. Their following's too big. Their following's too big. KSI tweets and it gets like a fucking, I don't know, 100,000 retweets and likes. Jake Paul, like his videos, Sidemen YouTube channel, every time he puts a video out, it gets like 4 million views immediately. They're too big. They're too big. The only issue they have, Ben, and everyone watching, is that a lot of their fan base is 23 and under, and those motherfuckers stream, and they know how to stream illegally. That's the only problem that they've got. I asked Jake Paul this. I actually said to Jake Paul, how close do you think it gets to the 3 million number? And he said it doesn't. He said because people stream too much. Because so he knows it's big, but it's not that big. All right. What's this one from Base the Kid? Appreciate all the super chats as well, by the way, guys. Do you see Chris Eubank Jr. destroying Liam Smith like Brighton did to Liverpool? We got our rematch with Brighton in the FA Cup. We'll see. And no, I certainly do not see. You know what? I can see that actually. I could see him steamrolling him. I think we all could see him. That's how Chris could steamroll Liam Smith. But I do expect it to be a more cagey affair, and I expect him to have to grind out a victory. But I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, first round, Liam Smith's down. I don't think that would shock anyone if Liam Smith goes, because Chris has that way of doing it. So fast, can be quite aggressive in the first 3 or 4 rounds. That's why I've always said if Liam can survive those first 3 or 4, Liam's got a very, very good chance. All right, where are we? What's this one? JD _ 05. My phone's going off. Ade, how come you were unable to marry that woman back in 2018? Getting personal. Was a marriage just too much for you to handle? Ultimately, yeah. If we're going to be honest, it was. I just wasn't ready for it. We still speak. We're still cool. We weren't, but we are now. I actually saw her in Christmas in Nigeria, so we're good. She's in a good space. I'm in a good space. So sometimes things work out for the best. But yeah, that was easily the toughest decision of my life. All right, let's get back to the questions. Where are we? Sorry, where? I'm just trying to find out where we are. I don't want to jump over anyone's questions. 2 secs, peeps. All right, here. What's this one? W. Thornton says, prize fighting needs personalities. If boxing was properly organized with regular ranking fights, it would be enough. This is it. Ultimately, if every fight that we wanted was made, then and even if the Misfits, so say the Misfits YouTube stuff was happening, but every fight we wanted was made, I don't think any boxing fan would have any issues with the Misfits stuff. It's almost like your anger about fights not happening is almost spilled over to them. Like if we got Javonte Ryan if we got Shakur Devon, imagine this, if we got Fury AJ when we wanted it, if we got all those fights, Crawford Spence, Inoue Fulton, like if we got all the fights that we dreamed of, Boatsy Yard, then boxing would be in just, boxing could be, and I mean, boxing could be the greatest sport on earth. Like I fell in love with boxing in the 80s when I felt, and in the 90s when I felt like I was getting those fights. And there were some fights that didn't happen, some notable ones, like we didn't get to see Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, but I felt like I was getting everything. And maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was too young to even know the difference, but it felt like I was getting whatever I wanted. Boxing right now has the ability to give us everything and gives us very little. Like, why have we not seen Jamal Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade? Like, why is that not happened? It's just I find it crazy. Honestly, I find it crazy. Even the Amir Khan Kell Brook thing. Look, when it happened, it was fun, right? It was fun. It was entertaining, but it was a shit fight. Why did that not happen 7 years ago? Like boxing has an ability to win, but it consistently loses because it doesn't give us what we want. It doesn't. That's why we get very excited now with anything. We get very excited with anything because it gives us nothing. It's a joke. 2 secs. Happier 8000 says, would you like to see Kell Brook versus Josh Kelly? I don't want to see, you know what? I don't want to see Brook back, but I wouldn't mind hearing that music one more time. Turn off the lights in here, baby. Extra bright, and I want if that one more time, I wouldn't mind. And I didn't think about that, you know. Obviously, for Brook, that'll be a lot better, 154 pounds. Josh Kelly's not a big 154 as well. Josh looked really good last time out against Troy Williamson. I might do a video on that. Thank you for giving me another video idea. All right, all right. Where are we? Done that one. Another one from me, Ade. Do you think Inoue has the potential to be an all-time great fighter? He might already be that. He might already be that. And now he's moved up in weight class as well. Jeez, man, he's a very special fighter. I think what we are going to need to see from him, and it shouldn't be this way because boxing is a worldwide sport, but I think we're going to need to see him have a couple of fights in the States. Obviously, he's been fighting at home in the majority of his fights, and I do wonder if the American public don't give him enough respect because they don't see enough of him. I think if he were to fight someone, that's why the Stephen Fulton fight in America is such a big one. If we see him fight in America, then I think he'll start to get that respect. But for me, he could already be an all-time great fighter. Up London TV says, don't watch the Ade, you're putting in the work. People can't lie, I'm putting in the work, you know. I am busy. I had a little time off before Christmas. I said, you know, when I come back, I've got my targets, I've written them down, and we're going for it. We are going for it. Why does AJ, this is Matthew Shepard, why does AJ have to announce his trainer before the presser? I think it's better to just stay behind closed doors. He doesn't really have to do anything. AJ can do what he wants, doesn't have to do anything. I don't know. I don't even know if there needs to be an announcement per se of a new trainer. I'm trying to think of fighters in the past that have got new trainers. Do they announce it? I'm not quite sure. I just want him to get on with it. I want him to get to Dallas, close those doors, and fucking work. I want him to work, and I want it to be uncomfortable. I want him to have hard questions being asked of him. I hope sparring's amazing. I just want to see AJ come back to the UK like a fucking madman, ready to take someone's head off. That's all I want to see. Malinga Tejan Sia says, Ade, do you think White versus Chisora doing an MMA? There's no question here. But I will say this, if you're asking about MMA, I mean, Dillian White was a kickboxer. He's actually had a couple of MMA fights, Dillian White. Chisora, I know, has been training with shoe fighters. Michael Venom Page, you guys might know him, Bellator, MMA. So both of them have MMA experience. But look, no, they don't have a chance, let's be honest. They haven't got a chance. Right Hook Rogney says, have the zone thought about signing Ngannou? I think Eddie can make some big fights for him, Not expecting him to be a boxing champion, though. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I mean, if he is going to box, he could go anywhere, to be honest with you. I mean, again, the BT Sports stable of Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois, and Tyson Fury could go there. So there's a lot of places he can go. I think his signature will be one that a lot of people fight for, just because I think people will be very interested to see his first boxing match. Shola Ebofin, yeah, says UFC fighters are on a slave's wage, or on slave wages. Sorry. Yeah, yeah, they are. You know what scares me about that? By the way, is like UFC is the top one, isn't it? It's the number one. It's the best of the sport. So if that's what UFC fighters are getting, kind of what the hell are the others getting? Like what are they getting? Fuck, man. Like in ONE FC and Bellator and all the other organizations. But yeah, when you see some of the pay that some of these UFC fighters are getting, I'm like, come on, like 30 and 30, 30 to show up, 30 to win, 60 grand. And that doesn't cover your training camp and then your management fees, taxes. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ, it's crazy. Two secs. Ade, you doing the questions sent before live as you requested in last video? Yeah, I'm doing the questions. I answered all the questions that came in first. Muzi Moyo, hey family, haven't caught a live in a long time. Not so lucky that I'm sick and off work today. Sick enough work. I've been watching you on Instagram. You've been traveling. You've been traveling the world. I'm sure you was in South Africa with your missus, a new flame. I don't know, but I saw you. I've been watching you. Right Hook Rogney says, Ade, why does Ben act like everyone should apologize when he has produced not one bit of evidence proving his innocence? Not a DAZN hater. I like the way they have started the year and wish success. No, I don't even think you have to hate to I don't think that's a hating thing what you said at all. I think it's true. I think the problem is he probably thinks he had provided evidence. I think his team have sent obviously that 270-page document to the WBC. So he's probably thinking, I've done what I needed to do. Like, what's going on? But look, I don't know, man. Conor Benn is putting up a lot of stuff on social media, and he's making me change my thoughts and opinions on it. But again, we'll just wait and see. 2 secs. Thoughts on Jake and Tommy reportedly making 25 and 10 million each for a fight in Saudi on February the 25th. I don't think it'll be that much, but they are going to make a lot of money. A very, very lot of money. And if it's, I don't know if it's going to be in, is it Saudi or Dubai? But if it's anyway, anywhere within that Middle East region, when I was there for the Mayweather Deji fight, if you saw the billionaires, and they had to be billionaires, just sitting ringside, that the interest that people have in it, it's crazy. I just find it crazy. But yeah, it's going to make a lot of money, and it's crazy how lucky Tommy Fury is, because like if he was just a normal boxer, he's never making that. Like no disrespect to him, but he's not getting to that level. And here he is now, Jake Paul. He's going to make more than 99.9% of boxers. Crazy. Jimmy says the zone should concentrate on real boxing. They do real boxing. What's going on? They've got a fight, and they got a fight this weekend. I think a Golden Boy card this weekend. They got the Matchroom. Like, you know, I think the biggest problem for them, or the biggest problem that a lot of people have with the YouTube stuff, is that if it somehow messes up the schedule for real boxing, it clearly isn't. It clearly isn't doing that. There's both can exist. All right, guys, we have another 10 minutes and we are done. 2 secs. What's this one? Sunday. Obelade says, does AJ need to knock his next opponent out to make a statement? What if he boxes his head off with good control of the fight and not getting pinched or punched at any time? I just want to see a knockout. Look, ultimately, he could win a 12-round blowout, right? He could destroy him. I want to see a knockout. I think AJ needs to make a statement We haven't seen AJ put anyone to sleep for a long time. I can't remember who the last, but I don't count the Kubrat Pulev one. So who was the last person AJ put to sleep? See what I'm saying? If I can't think of it, then it's been a while. It's been a Povetkin? Was it Povetkin? I think it might have been. Could be wrong, but I think it might have been Povetkin. That's a long, long time ago. So for me, I want to see AJ put someone to sleep. That's what I want to see. 2 secs. Anthony Joshua should watch Bivol's lateral movement and footwork. No. He shouldn't. AJ is what AJ is. It's just too late to try and change anything. What you're trying to do is add little bits to it, but you can't turn a killer and a brawler in AJ to a boxer like Bivol. It just can't happen. I mean, if AJ was 16, okay, yes, watch Bivol tapes, right? Anyone coming up right now in the game, I'll say just watch Bivol and study that. Like people kind of studied Floyd Mayweather's Philly show, but you can't do it now. Just AJ just needs to be what AJ is and sort of embrace that and become a killer. Become a killer. Pretty Boy Floyd era was epic. Just all of Floyd's era was epic. Like, I think I took it for granted. I took it for granted that Floyd would fight September, May, and he did that for like 5 years. And all the 24, like Floyd's 24/7 shows were incredible. Incredible. Loved them. I miss him. I can't lie, I miss him. It was so weird to be so close to him in Dubai. So weird. Like, just, oh my God, that's Floyd fucking Mayweather right there, right there. Like, oh man, I miss Floyd so much, man. And that's why all these people that are getting called the next Floyd, like, stop it. Stop it. 2 6. What's this? Al Kuya says, Ade, what's your take on Riddick Bowe saying he would have beaten Fury in his prime? He said he would have broken a couple of ribs by going to the body and then taking him out. Ooh, Big Daddy Bowe. I don't know, you know. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I think maybe because of my age, I've got this sort of love for 90s and early 2000s. And the 90s, man, that era of fucking killers. And Riddick Bowe was a very, very good fighter. For someone so big, his hand speed was incredible. Oh, I don't know. I don't know who I'm picking in that one. I don't know who. All right, guys. We have another 7 minutes. 2 6. What's this one? Michael Buffa says, Ade, why didn't you ask AJ tough questions? Like, why did you outbox Usyk in the first fight? Sign Garcia if you're not going to use him long term. Why you let Fernandez pick your new trainer for you? Where the old AJ has gone? Why didn't you ask AJ tough questions? Not that easy. It's not that easy. But I'll be honest with you though, and I've not have I spoke to AJ since? I don't think I've spoken to AJ since, have I? I think he done a little bit with me we've not had a sit down no, we have. That's a lie. We have. Did I ask him about Garcia? I can't remember what I asked him. But yeah, you know what? You are correct, actually. I'm gonna say you are correct. I think there does need to be more tough questioning. I will say this. It's certainly not that you get nervous, because I certainly don't get nervous around AJ. But I also know that I'm trying to tick a few things for the broadcaster. But I think going forward, I do think the questioning has to be a bit tougher, especially around the Garcia thing, because I thought the Garcia fit was perfect. But you are correct. I'm gonna say, yeah, you're right. I think it does need to be tougher questioning from now on. Leon Super Chat says, thoughts on AJ's career, let down or maximized? Maximized. And if not very, very close to maximizing. Like watching AJ in the Olympics, where I thought he kind of got lucky in a lot of the fights. I never thought this guy was going to go and do stadiums. stadiums, people. Never thought this was going to happen. I never thought he was going to sort of be this big casual fan driver. Never thought it was going to happen. It depends what you thought AJ was. Like, if you thought AJ was an all-time great, then you're going to be very disappointed in the fact that he lost to Ruiz and Usyk. But it was always going to be tough. It was always going to be tough for AJ. And I think he's done very, very well. And the story isn't over yet. There's still, I think, 5 or 6 fights left in AJ, maybe more. And I think there's another twist in this story. I think he becomes 3-time heavyweight world champion. Don't know how, but I think he does. I think there's another twist in this story. So I think so far, I think it's maximized. Is there anyone in the middleweight division who could dent Eubank? Golovkin, Janibek, Charlo, Munguia? I think all of these guys have the potential to dent him, certainly. I know Eubank has this granite chin, but Golovkin still can hit. I think Charlo can hit as well. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. 2-6, peeps. Someone here saying Eddie lost the UK market, but still massive globally. It's interesting that you think he lost the UK market, because in my head, maybe because I'm at these events, but I thought Leewood Conlon was the best fight in the UK this year. Sorry, last year. Best fight. Unless you have another one. Best fight by far for me. I thought it was incredible. I thought Josh Warrington, Kiko Martinez, good fight. What other one I thought was really good? Boatsi, Craig Richards, another good fight. So I think there's been a few. But again, I do think them losing out on the Ben Eubank hurt them. It hurt a lot. Trust me, I fucking was right there. It was me. I was excited. I'd done the face-off, got over 1 million views. Everyone loved it. And then it didn't happen. So it was a shame. All right. Oh, that's nice of someone to ask how I am. Hassan said, how you doing, Big Depot? I'm good, you know. I'm good. 2 secs. But Turbiev has been down. Yeah, did I say he hasn't? I know he's been down. I watched the Callum Johnson fight. I was like, when he went down. It's not about him getting down. It's about him getting up. When he gets, it's almost like when he gets, I remember when Kovalev got put down, and I can't remember who put him down. Kovalev got put down by a guy that had a bald head. It wasn't me. It's when Kovalev got up, Jesus. And it's a bit like Baturbev. Like, it's almost like, how dare you put me down? Okay, watch this. And he just turns into a monster. 1-2 travel 2-1. Are you going to UFC 286 in London to support your boy Usman versus Edwards? I think I am in Barbados around that time for a friend's wedding. I hate when people get married abroad, yeah, and the cost it is to get there. Like, I'm not joking. Like, this is honest truth before we go. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting married in Barbados. Oh, fantastic. Obviously, I've got to have a suit, which obviously I get that. I've got to pay for. I understand all that. And Nigerians, so you've got to have a traditional Nigerian outfit as well. The hotel. He sent me the list of the hotel. The hotel was like $1,400. The hotel. So we're standing. Flights are going to be like $1,000. So I'm down, if you include the cost of this, I'm down like $3,000 already. Boy, oh boy. All right, let me quickly see if there's any super chats that I missed. Because JD_05 says, how good do you think Carlton Palmer was? Very good. I worked with Carlton Palmer on TalkSport on a couple of shows. Great guy. Funny guy as well. Lives the life. Doesn't care what he says. Always goes to Portugal on holiday with his missus. Great guy. Had the longest legs and recovery speed you could imagine. Loved him. Any other ones before we wrap? I don't want to miss any super chats. I feel bad. What's this one? I have a feeling Rory Jennings made a new football podcast because he doesn't want to be on the kickoff anymore. For the reason that Geordie got into some controversy a couple of months ago. Rory does have his own. Him, Boovy, and Adam McCullough have literally just launched the club. I shall be appearing on that a couple of times as well. But before we go, I just want to quickly highlight this man again, Chris Andre. Before we go, Chris Andre's got a boxing channel. Go and check it out. Like I've always said on this channel, I'm very like casual fan kind of voice. I'm not going to break down fights. That's not really what I do. I'm not very technical with it. This guy, Chris Andre, is Very good technical breakdowns, nosy stuff. Go and support. There are 400 of you right now. As you leave this live, make sure you like and share, and then go and support Chris Andre, go and support Base the Kid, go and support Punch Perfect. Let's support all our community. And finally, before we shoot, remember, we are doing a live watch along this Saturday. We might do all the card. I'm thinking we might start around 7:38, but I'll do a couple of videos anyway in the lead up to it. But yeah, feel free to join me. It should be fun as always. But until then, guys and girls, I really thank you so much for jumping on this live. All your questions, I know I can never get through all of them. But thank you so much, everyone that done a super chat as well. I appreciate you all, and have a good day. Peace and love, people.